What's up, everybody? My name's Big Cam. Welcome back to another Comically Boston breakdown episode. Today we are talking about Star Wars Skeleton Crew Episode 4. Can't say I remember no at-in. And today we will be breaking down the entire episode 4 and all the little details we saw. It was a quick episode, like a little 38-minute episode, but there's some decent amount of things happening here and some cute things that I want to talk about for sure. Of course, my boy Neel is over here getting the ladies in this episode, per usual. Little ladies man Neel. I freaking love Neel so much. And Shmi is hilarious, the droid SM-33. And of course, Jude Law, Jude Law's character. But let's get right into it, shall we? Coming off of last week's episode, we got coordinates from Jod's friend Kim, the owl lady, and she gave us coordinates to a planet that they thought was at Aten, but we'll find out where they actually went this episode. But the kids here are just trying to make it home, and at the end of last episode, they had blasted off into hyperspace away from Kim's X-Wing fighters, and the X-Wing fighters said, hey, where'd they go? You wouldn't believe it even if I told you. So these kids have blasted off, supposedly back to Aten, and this is where episode 4 kicks off. This episode was also directed by Oscar-winning The Daniels, who directed Everything Everywhere All at Once, and I expected this episode to be much bigger, but just the way that they did it and the way that it was shot and, you know, the way that the kids interact with each other, they did a great job, but it didn't necessarily feel Daniels, like, separate. You know, it still feels like this has been one continuous story. So it's nice that these directors are working pretty well together and pretty seamlessly. So we start this episode, the kids pop out of hyperspace and they go back to their home planet, at least what they think is their home planet, but something seems wrong. It's smoky, nobody's around, it's gloomy, it feels weird on this planet. And Neel says, wait, this isn't home, but it looks like home, but it can't be, because they run into his house, because this planet looks exactly like their planet of Aten, but this planet looks like a war has gone on, in that everything's demolished and smoky and dusty and nobody's around, there's no people, we don't see any droids, but it's pretty much the same layout as Aten, which is like, huh, so what's the deal with this place? And the reason Neel knows that this isn't their home is because where his home would be, the tree in his living room is way too big. So initially I was like, wait, so what happened here? Is this their actual home and time has passed? So has this become a time travel story? Or is this another planet that is much like Aten? And it seems like that is more what is happening here. But we cut back to the ship, where Jod got reprimanded to stay by Captain Fern, and Shmi was on baby watch duty, and the baby was Jod. But Jod here is stealing Wim's credits like a real bastard pirate, stealing his Old Republic credits, poor Wim. But Shmi catches him in the act and kind of malfunctions and says, criminal, and like goes to get him. And then he goes, what do you remember about Aten? He goes, I don't know anything about no Akron. And he's like, Akron, huh? What are you saying? And then he starts to kind of malfunction, and then Shmi says the title of the episode, Can't say I remember no Aten. And then he starts to smoke, almost like he's programmed not to remember, and that there's something wrong here with his memory. Like, he seems to be struggling every time Aten is brought up, which is just like, huh, why? But we find out more later in this episode why that's happening. And Jod says, let me see if I can jog your memory. But then we cut back to the kids finding the Triok clan, or getting found by the Triok clan, led by this young girl who is the daughter of the general of the Triok clan, or whatever they want to call themselves. But she is a fierce warrior, but she's also a child, just like the rest of them. At first, when I saw her, I thought she was just Fern. I was like, wait, is she Fern? Like, wait, what's going on here? But the young girl that finds the kids brings her to meet the captain of her troops, and the captain of their troops is her father, the general, and he says that on this planet they treat their children as adults, and the kids train as if they're warriors. And he makes the kids train with their warriors to see what they're made out of. And then a funny scene happens where Jude is walking Shmi down the planet like he's walking Granny, you know, like, all right, Grandma, tell me where the treasure is, come on, you know, like trying to get a dementia-ridden person to tell you where things that they remember, you know what I mean? So that's kind of what it felt like, but it's Jude and this robot. And he's walking down the ramp and he's like, all right, tell me where the treasure is. And then another tribe, not the Triuk, I don't believe, finds Jude and Shmi, and Jude just goes, you know what, just shoot me. You know, like Jude's just fed up, had enough with this. He's like, God, everyone's always pointing guns at me. But I have a little clip here of him saying this, which made me crack up.
You know what, just shoot me.
The daughter of the Triuk general that we've met before takes Neel to go get some food. And Neel gives it away to these two homeless looking kids and, you know, just to help them. I goes, are you guys hungry? And he kind of gives it away and makes the young girls smile. So I'm like, ooh, little lady man's Neel. I like to see it. But she actually wanted to show him this big-ass gun. And she was like, this is what helps us defend the planet. And he's like, God, you guys are always at war. And he talks to her about how different their planets really are. And how her planet's always at war. And he goes, on my planet, it's peaceful. You know, like, we don't have to do any of this. We're not warriors. We're just kids. He goes, and that building over there is where my mom would work on my planet. And be an analyzer. And I would be analyzing, too. Peaceful, you know, like... just talking to her, but you know, she's cool, you know, like as they're like talking, they're sitting here and he like kind of just scoots up next to her, and I was like, God, Neel is the cutest freaking kid. I love that little scoot, he like just scoots over while he's talking to her. Oh God, Neel is the cutest little kid. I can't get over Neel. Like I will do anything for Neel. But the girl's father said the kids have to lead their troops into battle. And Wim starts to lead the way as they scout ahead, and Neel's all afraid, but Neel's new friend goes, I will go with them. And she goes, it's okay to be scared. It's easier when you have a friend. So now him and his new friend, Neel and her, walk forward, and he's like, this is wrong. We shouldn't do this, you know. So now Neel kind of leads the way with her. And as they're walking forward, it's like smoky, and then all of a sudden we hear like a yop, yop. You know, and you're like, what is that noise? And it's actually Jude, and we're like, what happened? How is Jude saving the day right now? But we find out after that Jude was just tricking the other tribe, the tribe that had caught them. He bribed them with a couple of the Old Republic credits that he stole from Wim and bought this cattle back from them that belonged to the Triuk clan. So that he made good with the Triuks, and then for bringing back their things, the general of the Triuks was like, all right, you can have whatever you would like. Our best hides, weapon, whatever you want. He goes, I'll just take the 4 kids. And he goes, you sure? You don't want our best hides instead of these 4 kids? And he's like, how good are the hides? And he goes, no, I'm kidding. But so Jude Law, Jude saves the day, gets the kids back, and Neel's like, yay, thank you. And Captain Fern and KB are still kind of questionable about him. And Wim still likes him until he finds out that he stole Wim's credits to save the day. Then Wim's like, oh, come on, man, I thought I liked you. I thought you were a Jedi. You know, like, he's heartbroken. Poor Wim. But Neel's new friend, and I finally got her name, is Hannah? Hannah? So Neel and his new friend Hannah, she takes them to the Fallen Sanctum. And she walks them all the way to where she possibly can. And she goes, okay, I gotta go back. But there it is right there. You guys go ahead. And we find out that this is on their planet is where the supervisor is always at. So on their planet, the supervisor up in this tower has a bunch of coordinates to these other planets possibly. But we're about to go up there in a second. But right before they go into this building, Neel gets a little kiss goodbye from his little new friend. And she kind of walks over, kisses him on the cheek, little sweet boy, and then she cartwheels away. So she kind of, you know, is feeling the butterflies too, but she does a badass cartwheel, and he's just kind of like, oh, she was pretty. She liked me, you know. But as they're walking up to this building, and Shmi sees it, he goes, I can't say I remember no. And he kind of like glitches. He goes, can't say I remember no right? And like he's got this great pirate accent, but something is definitely with that memory is blocked from somebody. Who knows? We'll find out in a second here. But like he keeps saying it throughout the episode. The kids at this point are finally like, we know. You don't know about that, at it. But they finally make it up to the tower, and there's a bunch of coordinates on these little tablet things all around the room. And the planets in the coordinates read off at Atu, at Akron, where they're at Orissa, at Aravan, at Akota, and at Aten. But at Aten's coordinates are scratched off. And they're like, who destroyed this? And Shmi goes, I destroyed the coordinates before my old captain. And then he goes, well, can't say I remember anything about Aten. And they're like, huh, what? But KB says, maybe we might be able to repair his memory. And Fern runs off, and Wim goes and talks to her, and she's like, this is all my fault, and you should have been captain. And he's like, I couldn't have been captain. I would have never got us this far. You're amazing, Fern. She's like, I can't just fix this because I'm amazing. I'm not a droid. I don't do what I'm told. And then this kind of like makes her realize, wait, droids do what they're told. So she runs back up to Shmi and goes, he was ordered not to remember. And he goes, she's like, I'm your new captain. Override memory. Tell me everything you know about Aten. And it works, and it overrides his memory. And now he does remember Aten. And his old captain slaughtered his old crew. Anyone that remembered the coordinates. And then he ordered me to not remember them. And then Smee gets glitchy and starts saying he would rip them apart limb by limb, limb by limb. And he kind of like grows, and he's kind of like this body bag, like punching droid. He's kind of a brawler, this droid. And I really love Shmi for that reason. And the voice actor, something Frost, I want to say Nick Frost maybe? I don't know. He's been great this whole episode though. But now Shmi's getting glitchy again, and he's like, limb by limb, limb by limb. And then Neel throws a rock at his head as he was, kind of glitching, heading towards the kids. And now Neel hits him in the head with the rock, but this now attracts the droid to him. So now the droid's walking directly at Neel, and he's going, limb by limb, I'll rip them limb by limb. And you're like, no, not poor baby Neel, don't do it to Neel. And then Jude Law jumps in and turns off the droid's power supply on his back and goes, you always go for the power switch. And Shmi powers down right above Neel, and Neel's like on the ground, and his arms being extended, ready to punch, was the only reason why the droid didn't just smush Neel. So he kind of just powers down right above Neel, and then Neel's like, ha, ha, ha. And just faints right underneath them. And then they go, Neel, are you alright? Oh, he fainted. And then they cut to credits. And I was like, oh man, poor Neel just shit himself, or fainted, or passed out. One of the two. Same, I guess. But that's the credits on this episode. Nice, short, quick, sweet episode. So comment below your thoughts. What do you think about the Daniels episode? Did they do a good job here? Can't say I remember no Aten. I do really love Shmi. Jod's growing on me. I still don't believe a word that he says. He is kind of a scumbag. He stole credits from a child. And he goes, but it saved the day. Yep, but yeah, you stole it first, dickhead. Neel being a ladies' man is always going to be awesome to me. I think he's a beast. And, just how the crew interacts with each other. And then how, like, the droid interacts with Jod and the crew. And, like, how the crew interacts with other pirates. Like, this show has been very interesting. And it feels like an Indiana Jones meets Stranger Things, meets Goonies, meets Star Wars, right? Like, this show's got all the feels, and it's a shame that it's not getting the viewership that it deserves. I think to some people, like my mother's so stupid, she's like, well, it's not Christmas season, I can't watch a not Christmas show. And then I call her back the other day and she goes, oh, I just finished the last season of Yellowstone. And I'm like, okay, bitch, so you can watch Yellowstone, because that's important, but not Christmassy at all. And she goes, well, people at work were talking about it, I had to watch. Stupid women. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. I'm like, you can't watch a Star Wars show? She loves Star Wars. She loves Goonies. She loves, like, anything, Stranger Things, anything that I've pitched her about this show. She's like, yeah, it sounds interesting. I'll watch it after Christmas. And I'm like, why the fuck can't you be watching it now? It's on right now for a reason. They didn't go, oh, we're gonna put it out now, but you know what? Wait till 2025 to watch it. We're gonna put out most of it in 2024, but you know what? Just hold off till after the holidays. It's okay. Come on, you morons. Just because it's not Christmas show doesn't mean it's got to be your entire evening. Like, you watch one 38-minute episode, that doesn't mean the rest of your evening isn't your Christmas movies, you jackasses. Sorry, that's definitely just hate towards my mother I'm directing at other people. Comment below your thoughts on Skeleton Crew. Have you been watching? Will you be watching after the holidays? That type of thing. Are you not watching, but you're getting the cliff notes from me on YouTube here? I don't know. I'd love to hear those things down in the comment section below. If you'd like to follow my other social medias, links for all those down in the description below. My Letterboxd, Instagram, Twitter, all those things. Bigg Cam, 2 G's on the Bigg, pretty much anywhere you can find me. I'm also on Blue Sky now, Threads, so go check me out over there. Follow me, it really helps. And if you would like to support the channel, the best way to do that is by liking this video, subscribing if you're new, hitting that bell so you don't miss future videos and you get the notifications, of course, commenting below. Thank you guys so much for coming on by, and I will see you beautiful people in the next one. Peace.